What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Good Trouble. Now, if you're joining us, if you're watching this live or if you're watching the playback, do me a favor and make sure that you share this with somebody. Share it, even subscribe to our channel because we're coming back with discussions like this to always engage, educate, and make sure that we're thought provoking in our presentation. So today we have the SGA president of Voorhees College. You all may know him already. I mean, he's probably a celebrity, so I'm sure you've probably seen him on somebody's discussion talking about Voorhees, right? So we have the SGA president from Voorhees College here, and I won't introduce him because I don't want to leave anything out of his resume. But we have Mr. Jaalen Williams Butler with us. And so what we want you all to do is make sure that you like, subscribe, and make sure that you share this with someone. So, Jaalen, can you please introduce yourself to the people that are watching today?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jaalen Williams Butler. I'm a senior biology major from Long Beach, California, and I'm the SGA president for the 2019-2021 school year, which means this is my second term as SGA president. Um, yeah, I love my school, really involved on campus. I'm a member of the board of trustees. I serve as the student representative. Just whatever I can get my hands on campus, pretty much.
So let's dig right into it. And I love how you started off with the school pride, the VC Tiger pride. You say you love your school.
Yes, sir.
Let's kind of dive in there for a quick second. What made you want to come to Voorhees? Because you're from California originally. So what made you come down to the South, brother?
Okay, so basically how I ended up at Voorhees. Um, I was really supposed to go to, I had applied for other schools like Clark Atlanta and everything, but I had missed the deadline for the housing deposit. So they had rent out of housing. So the solution they presented me with was staying off campus or waiting to the next semester. But me being out in California, I was so ready to go to school. I ended up
Yeah.
meeting Mr. Miller at HBCU Showcase in Los Angeles, California. And
Wow.
Mr. Miller is the former president of alumni affairs. Now he's the board chairman. I ended up meeting him, and he talked to me about Voorhees, and I looked into it. But Clark Atlanta was like originally my first choice. So basically, I ended up choosing Voorhees because Voorhees had rolling admission. So I applied there. I got my room there, and the original plan was just to be there for a semester. But as soon as I stepped foot on campus, the first person I met was Mr. Jefferson. And
Mm,
I had, believe it or not, I caught an Uber all the way from Columbia, South Carolina to Denmark, South Carolina.
wow.
And upon arrival, like my Uber driver didn't even know where I was going. So she dropped me off in front of the gym. I ended up meeting Mr. Jefferson, and he just like immediately, like just, took an interest and a liking to me. Like, he helped me out as far as like my luggage and everything because I had all my stuff with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just knew nothing about South Carolina. But the thing about Voorhees that got me was everybody already knew who I was by the time I had got there. Because
Mm.
at the time I was the only student from California. So administration, they were talking, I guess they were talking, speaking on we have this.
Telling your audio went out for a quick second.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I'm
Okay,
assuming
you're
the
back.
administration, like they were speaking like because Dean West had they knew who I was and everything. So when I told them my name, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we were waiting for you." So and then from there, like they figured I didn't have any family in the South at all. So they kind
Right.
of took me in and like made sure that I was okay, made sure that I was adjusting fine, and making sure that I just whatever I needed, they provided. And as far as like mentors, like Dr. Ronnie Hopkins, the now interim president of the Voorhees College. Like he's a big, like really huge part as far as like mentors, like on campus. He's like, yeah, Ronnie, like Dr. Hopkins has really been there for me a lot. Um, Mr. McLean, Cameron McLean is another like mentor who, made sure that I wasn't just settling for the bare minimum and like,
Yeah.
wasn't being complacent. Like, he was a person that always pushed me to go that extra mile, take that extra step, ask that extra question. So yeah, that's
Let
kind
me
of how
ask
I
this
got the
question.
voice.
Let me ask this question because a lot of students they sometimes say they enjoy where they're going to school. They say they like it. They say they would tell other people to come, but you may not hear a lot of students say, "I love where I go to school." You said that you love Voorhees,
Yeah.
right? So tell me what allowed you to transition from I just like it here, I enjoy it here, but I love it. What what would be one thing that you said would say that kind of change that verbiage to now have that love for Voorhees in your heart?
Well, the reason why I say I love Voorhees would easily because Voorhees is like it presented itself to me as an opportunity to not only get an education but to better myself and better myself as a man. And like Voorhees is where I can honestly say I picked up a lot of the tools to become a man. So I
Yeah,
can't take anything away from the college, like, because it's constantly like making me better. We're about to get my bachelor's in science and biology this May. Like, it's like kind of I love this school, like because it gave me opportunities that wasn't presented to me at first. And
yeah.
like since I've been here, I never shied away from opportunity. And
Mm.
I just attacked everything head on. Like so
I love it. I love it. So let's transition because we're talking about attacking everything head on and presenting opportunities. And so you had an opportunity to become the SGA president for the first time
yes,
last year,
sir.
right?
Yes,
And
sir.
and you had an opportunity to become SGA president for the second time. And so I'm sure you can talk about that from attacking uh, things, opportunities from that perspective. Because what motivation went into you running for SGA president for the second time?
My motivation that went in for me running for the second time, I'd easily have to say was the students. Like just seeing how everything went with my office, with my cabinet and everybody, and as far as getting the students engaged and involved and coming out to events and having cool speakers come out, like they were like honestly like my driving motivation because like I figured why just do it one year if you could have another opportunity, like why not make history again?
Yeah,
Like definitely like was the students. Um, just because last year was just such a progressive year, and then us being cut short because of COVID, like, and I just that was like another fault. Like there was just like I had so much more to do. I had so many
yeah,
more plans to do, but they got cut short because of COVID-19. So, but pretty much the students were the key component as far as me like deciding to run for SJ president again because servant leadership. That's like
yeah,
that's what it goes into. Like, there's no, I'm like being the SGA president is like no better position to be in because you're the liaison for the student body and administration. So pretty much making yourself like accessible is the key to everything. Like, you don't want to be the SGA president who's too far removed from the school and just like just always up under an administration, or you don't want to be the SGA president who's too for the students and doesn't know how to, meet common grounds, like meet on common grounds when it comes to administration and everything. So pretty much just being a servant leader.
no, that's a great point, man. And let's talk about that meeting on common grounds and being that liaison for a minute, because you participated in the town hall recently,
Yeah.
and you actually gave greetings on behalf of the institution and the students. And so, how would you say those experiences, as far as a town hall is concerned, a virtual town hall? What would you probably like to see more of those town halls, or how would you say you felt about that town hall that we
Oh,
just had recently?
of course, like, town halls are great because, it makes the students and administration, believe it or not, it helps them like become like closer because they feel like they don't always have to go through me because as accessible as I make myself, especially during COVID-19, it's harder to be, accessible when you're not on campus. So having giving the students that opportunity to, voice their opinion and directly to administration or directly to the person over housing or financial aid and get like direct responses back from them, that's like really important. That's what I enjoy because
Yeah,
like it's like we're actually a community. When you have town hall, it's people who are actually on campus and everybody. So everybody comes together, and it's pretty much like, we're showing that we're a family. We're talking stuff out. If we have questions, we're getting like answers solved right then and there, instead of like, you know, going to, following the chain of command and coming to me, and then I go ask them, then I got to come back to them. It's like, it cuts the middleman out, and it's like more
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, I love that. I love that, and I think it's so great for you to be able to understand your position, like you said, as a liaison, and you're literally cutting the middleman out, and you're becoming that man,
yeah.
and for some people, they may shy away from that responsibility because it's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You have to really make sure that there's a respect line between those that are administrators and those that are students. And so making sure that whatever is articulated is comprehended the right way. So I think that's a great role for you to have.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So let's talk about this for a minute. We're coming into you now about to graduate. You're in your senior year, right?
Yeah.
You're about to graduate with biology, with a degree in biology and science. So what would you say you've been doing to prepare to graduate?
As far as preparing to graduate, what have I been doing? Well, since my freshman year, I had like a vision board that I kind of kept, as far as like things I want to accomplish. And like along that vision board, like, there's things like graduating, like where I want to be at, like as far as like, just SGA president stuff too. Like, so like I just had all that kind of mapped out. And I guess like I stuck to my plan. And as far as like graduating, like, just I've always wanted to stay on top of my grades since I got here. That was like my first like priority when I got here, like stay
Yeah,
on top of everything. And even though sometimes you find it's really hard to, to like time manage your classes and everything like that, and prioritize your classes when you have like real life stuff getting thrown at you too. But as
yeah,
far as like, just honestly, for like just to keep me on track for graduating, just really staying on top of my classes. That's like the
yeah.
best thing you can do.
Yeah, so that's a good segue. Let's talk about time management for a second because we went from being in person to being fully virtual,
Yeah,
and a lot of students being fully virtual, of course, because the opportunities present itself. A lot of students have jobs. A lot of
yeah,
students are working, and so you're going to school while you're having a full time job.
yeah.
What would you say were some of um, your tools maybe and some of the tips that you've been able to really hold on to be able to assist with your time management?
As far as time management tools, honestly, scheduling everything, keeping
Yeah,
everything in the schedule, like even if you have to put it on your refrigerator, like if you like, I have constant reminders going off, like for like my Canvas to let me know I have assignments due, just to stay on top of stuff, because it's hard because I work a full-time job actually, so it's hard working 40 hours a week sometimes plus, and then, having assignments due and everything. But, it's kind of just, it's adulthood, you can't really shy away from it. You could either see it through and get it done, or complain about it and like, be complacent. But, that's not going to get you anywhere. You're going to find yourself stuck in a hole and trying to dig yourself out of a hole because you can't really manage your time. So,
there you go. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. I agree. So while we're talking about time management, right? If you do have any tips, what would be some other tips along with writing things down and having notifications coming on your phone? Because you may have some students that may go back and watch this and they're like, "Hey, Jaalen, I've
Mhm.
tried the notifications on my phone. I've tried setting reminders, and it's tough for me. What advice would you give some of your peers out there that's saying that I'm still struggling with this virtual education?"
Well, what I would say, honestly, because a lot of my assignments are due on Sundays. So something I tend to do also, 2 hours a day I spend on my classes.
Yeah,
So from Monday through Friday, or Monday through Saturday even, like, I'll take time out my day, like whenever I have free time, like, oh, I have 2 free hours. Instead of taking that nap, which I know everybody wants to do, like,
right.
apply that time to your education, apply that time to getting your work done, because at the end of the day, that's going to help you out in the long run. And on top of that, you're not gonna have to be last minute and cram in like 8 hours worth of homework in one day right before, Sunday. You got an assignment due at 11:59. You're starting at, 8:57. Like, oh, I gotta do this assignment. Like, no, plan ahead of time and break the load up. You don't always have to like
Mm,
cram everything
great
together.
advice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically break the load up and prioritize. You know, Sometimes you might have assignments that are due around the same time as each other. Like you gotta
Hmm.
prioritize like which one do you think, like me personally, I like the most difficult one, that's the one I apply the most time to. So the ones that aren't as difficult, those are the ones I come back to as far as like having assignments due the same exact day. But like I said, if you like break those loads up and like not cram all your homework into like one day. Like you can spend 2 hours on one assignment or one class, and then the next day could be another class, and then and by the 2 hours you should be pretty much done with your work. Like as
Yeah.
far as like the whole week goes.
That's good advice, man. Break your load up so you won't have to do 8 hours. Try to do 8 hours
E-
worth of homework in 2 hours. That's great.
Exactly.
So I think that this is good tips, man. I think that some of your peers may go back and watch this and say, you know what, Jaalen said, break the load up. Jalen said do 2 hours a day. He said if I go in here and I break the load up, maybe it won't be as stressful. Thank you, SGA President Jaalen Butler. It was because of you that I passed my class. So they may be able to go back and watch this and get some tips from you. So let's close up this discussion, man, with one more question. We know that you have been the SGA president for 2 years now, and you're about to leave, you're about to graduate, and so there's some new blood that may be coming in. And so
Yeah.
let's ask this question: what advice would you give to the upcoming SGA president, he or she that may be running? What advice would you give them?
As far as the SJ president, the type of advice I would want to give them is be the voice and use your voice, you know.
Mm,
But with also that being said, like use your ears as well, because like I said, you're a student, like you're a servant leader in the position of SJ president. You're not just the president. You don't govern everything. Like you're not just going to tell people what to do. You have to use your ears and be the voice, like
yeah,
because you're the voice of the student body, and use your voice, like as far as it comes to like administration when you're trying to get your point across. You have to be able to use your voice in a way that they'll understand in order to get what you need to do for the student body, because at the end of the day you're serving the student body because it's student government association president, it's in the
yeah,
title. It's not Voorhees student government like no student, like you're the student government president. So as far as that goes, just honestly use your voice and listen to your students, like because they're gonna be the ones that let you know if you're doing a good job or a bad job.
there
They're
you
gonna
go.
be the ones like, make yourself accessible. That's another tip I'd have to give. Like, you don't want to be the far removed president. Like, oh, nobody can ever find where you are, but you only pop up when you have events. Like, no, you know, communicate with people. Don't make yourself seem out of reach. As far as like freshmen, it's going to be hard, like especially for freshmen. They seeing like you're the SJ president. They're seeing you're talking at these big events and everything. Like, focus more on them, because believe it or not, that's like the people you're guiding through this all. Like, they're going to look at you as a role model. Like when you step into a position like this, you have to be ready to step up and actually become a role model and be something to follow, because nobody wants to follow a leader who's constantly contradicting himself, or, says one thing and does another thing. Like, for sure, like, just honestly, when it comes, just be yourself too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Don't try to be
Oh,
Jalen Williams. I couldn't be, Veltika Wright. I couldn't be, the other history. Like, I couldn't be Christina Donovan. Like, you got to be yourself, right?
yeah,
Because that's what's going to keep everybody like engaged. If they know that you're 100% authentic, being yourself, that's the key.
yeah. That's great advice, man. That's great
Thank you.
advice. And so, look, man, we want to thank you, Mr. SGA President,
Thank you
Mr.
for having
Jalen
me.
Williams Butler, the two-term president. If you guys didn't know that he's a two-term president. And so we want to thank you for coming on Good Trouble today. I'm sure with all this information that you share, that you are getting in some good trouble. You're on the Board of Trustees. You're the SGA President for the second time. and you're doing a tons of great things. And so we want to thank you for coming on. John Lewis said this quote: "If you're going to get in any trouble, Mr. Wright, you know it. If you're going to get in any trouble, make sure you get in good trouble." So I want to thank you all for watching today. Please go back and watch the playback because Jaalen Williams Butler, the SGA president for Boise College, gave some great tips. Jaalen, do you have anything else you would like to say before we jump off today?
Just thanks for having me, and I love my VC.
He said he loves VC. We'll see you soon. Everybody have a great day.
Alrighty.